questions today. So the first student is Joshua Jardinero. He is from Las Positas College. I'd like to welcome Joshua. Joshua also did a great job in helping to support the conference this year. So much love to you, Joshua. The second student, Madison Clark, joining us from San Diego State University. Welcome, Madison. The third student, Cecilia Lopez Sandoval, also from Las Positas College. Fourth student, Kara Alyssa Bautista. I'm gonna call her KB just because we know each other like that. It's just easier. But Kara Alyssa Bautista. And Kara is also a former student I worked with at Las Positas. And the fifth student is Oswaldo Garcia, joining us from Glendale Community College as well. So it's nice to see you all. Welcome. It's been a minute. Madison, I ain't seen you in a minute. Hope you're doing good. Awesome, awesome. So yeah, so the student panel, we just created some questions. We want to, get your perspectives. And to students, I want to hype y'all up. No need to be perfect, no need to be polished. Be yourselves. Bring all them languages that you have, all them, just everything who you are linguistically and culturally. Bring that to this space. All right, it helps to motivate us and inspire us to continue to do the work that creates inclusivity and belonging in our classrooms. Okay, so welcome. So I'm going to start with the first question, which is to tell us, a little bit about yourselves and the Englishes that you bring to our campuses. So I'll start with you, Joshua. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the Englishes that you bring to LASPO.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joshua Jardero. I am a student right now at Las Positas College, majoring in sociology. I grew up in Peru, so my first language is Spanish. Technically, I guess English is my second language, but I use English the most. I am pretty fluent in Spanish. When it comes to like English and I'm still exploring English. This whole concept of linguistic justice is something new to me that I've come to learn here at Las Positas. I'll explore more on that when it comes to the questions, but overall, those are my two languages.
Awesome. KB, welcome. Madison, how about you? Tell us a little bit about yourself and the languages, the dialects that you bring to San Diego State. Oh, can we unmute Madison, please?
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Madison Clark. I am a junior at San Diego State University. I'm a criminal justice and Africana studies major. I grew up in a Black urban community, Los Angeles, Kershaw area, and my natural language is AAV, African American Vernacular English. And yeah, my second language is like standard American English language, but yeah. And I typically use AAV for my poems. This was my first time using AAV for an essay, so that was pretty interesting. And yeah, we could talk about that a little later. Yeah.
Awesome. Like how you put that. AAVE is my first language. Standard English is my second. I like that. Cecilia, how about you?
Hi, everyone. My name is Cecilia Lopez Sandoval. I'm currently a freshman at Las Positas Community College. I am majoring in criminal justice as well. And my first language was Spanish, and I did lose it, sadly, in the process of going to school and during my elementary school. So I gained English from there. And linguistic justice has brought like positivity to bring back that Spanish and reinforce my community and my culture with my everyday life. So I'm glad to talk about it more later.
Thank you. Welcome, Cecilia. KB, how about you? The question is, tell us a little bit about yourself and the languages and the dialects that you bring to your spaces.
You're on mute.
Oh, my bad.
Sorry, first it's blocking my voice, and now I have to show my ugly ass wrecked face. My bad. Okay. Anyway, the name's KB, and I speak multiple languages and dialects. I'd like to say that I speak 4 languages: English, profanity, sarcasm, and real shit. I also speak another language, another foreign language. I speak Tagalog, which is the national language of the Philippines. Of course, over there, there's different dialects, but I'm from the mainland, so I don't speak any other dialects from there. I code mesh between Bay Area slang and eloquent verbiage. And I yeah, I think I'm blessed with words. My first words were most likely song lyrics because my first passion and my first love in life are music. So I'm a child of the 90s as well. And I love 90s music and 90s culture. So that's a little bit about me.
Got you. Yeah. And you also a writer too, right? Short stories and all of that. So that's where all of those languages, I bet help you, you know what I'm saying, get your authorship on. So
Oh
welcome.
yeah, that too. So that's why I say that I think my life is just filled with words. So
True. Welcome. And Oswaldo, you are our last person to make your introduction. So who are you and what languages and dialects do you bring to Glendale?
Hi, everyone. Also, can you guys hear me just to make sure? I just want to make sure. Okay, just wanted to make sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Oswaldo Garcia. I'm a sophomore here at Glendale Community College, and I would say I speak 3 languages. My first language was Spanish, my second language was English, and then my third language is queer English or just queer language in general because I am part of the queer community, and that is something that I try to implement every day in my life, whether it's talking to my parents, talking to my friends, and even talking to some of my professors. So, gotta spread it around, gotta teach the people what is up with it. So, oh my God, thank you, Michelle. I see your chat. Don't worry, girl. I see you. Thank you. I'm here to represent. Don't worry. And I'm very excited to be here and, maybe shed some light on linguistic language because I didn't know it was called that. I recently just discovered the professional name. So I'm very excited to kind of give my insight on it as well.
It's all kind of flavor on this panel already, and I'm here for it. Let's do this. So y'all, okay, kind of a quirky question, but I guess just in plain speak, tell us about your relationship with writing for school, writing academically with your English classes. I like to think of it in a different way though. We celebrated Valentine's Day, a month ago or so. So if like English was your significant other, if it was your boo, right? How would you describe that relationship with English class or with writing for school? Is it like a love-hate thing? Is it like, yo, I really want you, but I can't have you? Is it like, are you, you know what I'm saying? Are you really trying to pursue, writing for class? What is it like, your relationship with English? Oswaldo, I'm gonna start with you.
Okay, thank you. I feel so honored to be the first one. But with me, I would say I have a love-hate relationship with it. I love essay questions when it's about me. It better be about me. So I love those questions. You gotta ask about me. Regarding academic papers, I hate them. Don't come up to me. No, not today. But I especially love I especially love personal narratives. Like we're locked in, we're married actually. And I love them so much because you get to authentically be yourself and you get to represent yourself. Like I know from my English 101 class that I took last summer, we had a personal narrative that kind of was allowed to represent who we are. And I remember I talked about a lot about my sexuality. And I remember in a lot of English essays, you're supposed to use formal language, but I didn't want to use formal language because my story, there was a lot of cursing and a lot of kind of hatred and resentment that was building up, and I needed to let that out somewhere. And with this personal narrative, I asked my professor, and I was like, can I curse in my essay? Can I use, derogatory words that were used against me to kind of help empower my essay? And it felt so nice to be able to do that, because in an academic paper, that kind of language is prohibited or very restricted. And so in an academic paper, you wouldn't be able to capture that exact emotion. So when it comes to personal narratives, I love them so much, because you get to truly represent who you are. You got to be your most authentic self, and no one can take that away from you. Absolutely no one. I believe that you should be able to represent yourself as who you are, and be able to speak a language that really resonates with you. You shouldn't be restricted to only one language. And I feel with academic papers, it really restricts you to, you need to write this way, and if you don't write this way, you're going to get marked down. And I don't believe in that. Like, obviously, I think academic papers are important, but I just don't think it should be so restrictive with it. I feel like if you're still able to communicate the same points with a language that you're more comfortable with, go ahead and do that. Your point is still being sent, and there's no reason for us to use formal English and use big words that I have to search up in the fucking thesaurus or whatever it's called, the dictionary. Like, you should be able to speak it in a language that really resonates with you. And obviously there are going to be people, it'll be more accessible to people who really resonate with your language, and they won't be confused when reading this academic paper on, like, you know biology or something, because I struggle with biology, and whenever I read a academic paper on biology, I'm just like, what the hell is going on? But if it were maybe like using a language I was familiar with, I would love to be able to read about biology. But yeah, that's my experience with English. It's a love-hate relationship.
Okay, but when you are able to be yourself and able to be authentic, I mean, don't we want that with our, significant others? So that's a great way to put it. Cecilia, I saw you nodding early on in Osvaldo's, answer. What did you, what do you got to add, or what did you really feel?
Yeah, I completely agree with you, honestly. Like, teachers have always said, you need to express yourself to the fullest. You need to be your true self. But it's like, how can you even be your true self when you're limited to this restrictions of an academic paper? Like, that's explaining yourself. Like, the personal stories, how can even be personal if I need restrictions in the standard English? Like, I felt so restricted, so broken. So I completely agree with you. Like, you said it perfectly. And to add on, like, especially with standard language, as a Mexican American, I didn't know how to incorporate my Spanglish into my writing. So, like, I feel like linguistic justice brought out a part of me that, like, was like, you know what? Sorry about what I felt restricted to even say this right now, but F that bullshit. Like, I can be myself in this paper. Like, when Miss G introduced it to me in class, I was like, are you sure this is okay? Like, this feels a little inappropriate. But no, this is completely appropriate for you to do. This is a way to write, and it's completely okay. So yeah, I have a love and hate relationship for English, because the standard English I don't feel comfortable as much in. I feel like I can't be myself as much in, but definitely linguistic justice gave me that opportunity to bring my authentic voice into my writing, I would say.
No, thank you, Cecilia. Yeah, we trying to, question rules here, right? And see what the origin of them are, and do they make sense? Do they still make sense? Madison, how about you? You getting ready to be a lawyer, is my understanding. You are, studying criminal justice. You at this, university. What is your relationship to writing for the university in academic settings?
I love creative writing so much. Anytime there's an assignment about creative writing in any of my classes, like, I hop on that immediately. I started writing when I was a freshman in high school. And so my relationship with writing has always been like, it's like a long distance one. Like, I don't do it all the time, but when I do, it flows naturally. It's second nature to me. I love to write. And writing in academic settings, when it comes to like essays and stuff, that's like, okay, like, it's not as fun, it's not as engaging, because it doesn't feel like it's me speaking. It feels like I have to be polished, poised, and that's just not me. So preferably, I love to do my creative writing. That's where I can express myself. A lot of my writing is about Black culture. It's about assimilation. That was my first poem was about. I don't know why I named it Cupcakes, but it's called Cupcakes, and it's about cultural appropriation and assimilation in the Black community, and just different. That's how what a lot of my writing is based off of, just injustices, and that's why I'm a criminal justice major and an Africana studies major. So it expresses itself in my writing. So definitely it does coincide with the field that I want to go into, and it proves as a motivation, and it reminds me of what's going on in this world, and it's an outlet in a way. So I love to write, and yeah, that's my relationship with it.
Oh, thank you, Madison. Joshua, I saw you with the emojis. I saw a couple exclamation points, earlier, what's your relationship? And yeah, how would you answer that question?
I feel like I would say it's like sort of like a relationship you need to move on from, like an ex. I feel like with English, I've grown in this academic journey that I've been having, right? I took AP classes in high school, AP English and AP English, both of them. I struggled in AP English so bad. Like I took the exam, horrible. I took AP Spanish and I flew with flying colors, but that's because I feel like AP, like standard English, it holds you down. It's very systematic, and it's not built in a way that you can express yourself really, because there's so many boundaries and lines and things you're not supposed to do and things you're supposed to do. So it's like I look back, or I'm still trying to grow away from this, because being in the academic setting, you're confined to act at a certain standard, I feel like. So it's sort of about letting that go and moving forward with who you are as a writer, as a person, as an artist. It's sort of just finding your own voice. But for me, I would see it as like, leaving that relationship behind. And because it weighs you down as a writer. Being stuck to the idea of standard English just sort of it kind of lacks personality from what I've learned. And now coming into Las Positas with English, and shout out to Miss Gonzalez, Michelle, like she just pushes everything away and just creates a learning environment where you're learning. You're not, your intelligence is not being measured, but you're actually engaging in the world. You're engaging with the material that is presented to you, but not just about sticking to something, but letting everything go out freely. I don't know if I talk too much about that.
Thank you for that. So long distance, leaving that old thing behind, love, hate, love when it's when it's showing up, when you're able to show up as your authentic self. KB, anything to add? Do you have a way that you would describe your relationship for writing when you're in your English classes and stuff? Oh, unmute, fam. Unmute.
Damn, this microphone hates me. Okay, for me, English is like having a crush on someone, but then like finally telling them and they accept you and you get married. Cause like I've always, well, this is what other teachers told me. They've always said that I have a gift in English, but I never really believed them. Like I was like quiet about it. Like when you have a crush on someone, like you want to tell them, but then you're too scared to tell them. So it's kind of like I heard these things like, oh my God, maybe he likes you back or something, right? Or she likes you back. The person likes you back, right? And then you're kind of, sorry, uh, you kind of be like, oh, like I feel for this person, right? And then like but you don't like believe it at first, right? So that's kind of like how I felt about English before. Like teachers be telling me like, oh, you got a gift or whatever, but I didn't believe it. Then I met you and you were telling me like, for real, like I'm not even joking, like you seriously have a gift. And then I really felt your authentic like message. And then I was like really thinking about it, and I was like, okay, like this is the part where like you tell the person, and then like they accept you, and then you get married, right? So it's like I finally acknowledged the fact that, okay, maybe like I do have a gift, and I could finally accept like myself and the love that I have for English. Like I could finally accept my talent. So
Mm,
then I was like, okay, like I could, in this classroom, it's like a safe space to finally be myself. Because the whole time in my whole life, we were expected to speak standardized English. And I guess for me, it came naturally. But then when I got into your class and you were saying, like, oh, yeah, like, write in a way that feels comfortable to you, like, I finally was able to break out of my shell and be like, yeah, like, because I don't talk in standardized English. That's
right.
not who I am as a person. So then I was able to write about myself and how I felt, like using words that are comfortable to myself. And then I felt so liberated. So then it made me feel happy that I finally really committed to English. Like I fell in love and I married English. So yeah, that's how I feel.
Awesome. Thank you, KB. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Lots of levels, right? Of full circle actually coming back to English. So thank you for that.
yeah.
Um,
Thank you.
so my next question, and Oswaldo, I'm gonna direct this one to you. How does the invitation to like use your authentic voice, make you feel about English and writing for school? Like, how does that, what does that do to you? What's the effects that it has?
For me, when I get invited into like in English classes to write, I feel so welcomed. Especially when they allow me to write the way that I want to write, it makes me feel so welcome and so I would use the word loved because it's like for the longest time, specifically in like middle school and high school, I was very shut down by the way I was able to speak and present myself in essays. But in college, professors were like, no, like, I don't want you to be restricted. I want you to be yourself. I want to get to know you. And when I would submit these essays and I would get the feedback, the professor would be like, wow, like, these essays are really strong. They're really powerful. They really represent who you are. And even though like we haven't met on an individual level, like I really got to know who you are. And it just felt nice to be said that because like as someone who struggles a lot with English and like learning how to express myself in the correct spaces, like it felt nice just for someone to be like, I want you to keep your representing yourself like that. I don't want you to back away from that. Like stay on the pedestal that you're on and keep shining and don't let anyone take away that shine from you because we don't want the haters to bring you down. We want to keep you going up. So it's like when I get that invitation, it's just the best thing ever. And moving forward in my academic journey, I hope professors will allow us to keep expressing ourselves. Not be restricted to this standardized English that we've been taught since like we went into preschool. I hope even moving forward in the younger generations with because I have two little siblings and I hope that like when they're growing they're able to express themselves in essays that in the way that they want to as well because every person has their own way of speaking and we should be encouraging students to speak the way that they want to speak. We shouldn't be like, hey, this is going to be the one language that fits all because we've already learned through systemic issues and through just viewing society that trying to restrict people onto this one bubble is going to create more chaos than good in most circumstances.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And it kind of reminds me what you just said, KB, about feeling liberated, feeling seen, when we, you know, let down restrictions, that we have, traditionally had in writing classrooms, to allow other Englishes in, invite them to the party, like they may say. Move on to the next question. Do any of you all have like an experience, like one experience in a classroom where you learned about linguistic justice? Can you tell us about like an experience that stands out? To anyone, maybe a paper that you wrote, a moment, maybe a light bulb moment that went off for you? Madison, can you tell us about that paper that you wrote for my class, right? You said it was the first time, that you really got to use that language. How did it go for you? How did it feel at first? What were some of your takeaways?
The experience definitely stood out to me. The entire class actually, just it made me feel open to use my creativity to the fullest extent. Analyzing these speeches, and like it was just a beautiful thing, to be honest, because it's like I'm analyzing two speeches from very powerful writers, and I'm using it in my own language, and I'm not restricted in a way. So it was a very powerful thing. And yeah, it just gave me the opportunity to try something new. And I feel like it's something that should be applied in every class, like, not to have so much restrictions and barriers to what you're writing, how you're writing, like let it flow naturally. I think that's what's very important in writing, especially if you're a creative writer. So
Yeah, we were writing about two African-American, authors. I think you were writing about Frederick Douglass and Dr. King. And to write in a way that made sense, you know what I'm saying? Like it's for the culture, so it makes sense to.
And the glossary part, I like that. That was my favorite part, to add the little glossary.
Tell them about the glossary. Tell them about the
And
glossary.
so let me pull it up real quick. Yeah, I just had a little glossary of like different words that I used throughout my essay. Like gone, I'm not even saying it right. Gone, T, like very much so, trying to secure the bag, like all of that. So this is just the glossary of the stuff that I used in my essay. If anybody wanted to read it and didn't understand like how I was speaking in the essay, that's what the glossary is for. And so yeah.
Yeah, several terms, right, that you was using throughout the essay. You were basically code meshing, so you did an excellent job of that, and that stood out to me, as somebody you were working with.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. KB, Joshua, Oswaldo, y'all, anything stick out?
Can I go?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So for me, my memory is that, okay, so I enjoyed the class in its entirety for surely, but something that sticks out specifically were the essays that Dr. Vey wrote. And because they were really like educating me, like they were super informative and they were insightful in discussing linguistic justice and the whole idea of the disrespect that people were having against like how people were speaking, especially in the African American community. And I was thinking to myself, especially yesterday when I was prepping for this panel, I was thinking to myself, and I like, in your class, I was always getting mad, but like yesterday, I went back to being mad because I remembered that, like, why do people like get upset when, because for example, right, people say hello or hi, but when somebody says what's up, like they get upset, but it's like they have the same denotation, but somebody is just saying it in an informal way or a cultural way, But for some reason, that word is not acceptable. It's categorized and ostracized, and it's like, oh, that's quote unquote ghetto to say what's up. And that made me angry as fuck. I was not having it. So then I was thinking about that as I was preparing it, and I was like, that's not right. And so, like, I always talk about this memory, but like, I think that was the time that I was like doing an assignment for Dr. Vey. I was in the ER and I was trying to complete a assignment on my phone, and I was just like thinking about like, the message that he was conveying. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get this assignment done. I don't care if they're poking shit in my arm, if they're medicating me, if they're putting me through an x-ray, they're just going to have to deal with the fact that I'm doing homework while I'm lying in this damn bed. So excuse me. So like, that's what really made me like feel some emotions. Like I was feeling some type of way about like Dr. Vey's message that he was trying to convey to like about linguistic justice.
Disclaimer, I did tell Kara, take care of the ER stuff. Come back to the assignment later, but I just putting that out there.
Yeah, she didn't force me or anything. It was all me. I got like perfectionist syndrome or whatever. Like people have told me, you're not writing your doctorate. Like, can you go to sleep? Like I stayed up till like 8 a.m, like doing some shit. So for real, like that's my problem right there.
Hey, we glad you okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask y'all this. So how has it been to experience, whether it's faculty or staff, at your, where you study, speaking in ways that made you feel like nurtured or, seen? How was that? How has it been to experience that? Madison, could I throw that to you? How was that, to experience, um,
It's,
yeah.
yeah, it's been very encouraging for the most part. I would say I feel like not only for my writing being appreciated, but also my background being understood more in the way that not everybody understands me, not everybody wants to understand me. So that's been a very like nurturing part and aspect of it, I feel like.
Yeah, we had some really powerful conversations about ourselves as Black women in that class, some very powerful conversations. Others, how has it been? Like Miss G, your students, how has it feel? How has it felt to, be, reminded, told, affirmed, talk in a way that's authentic to you, Joshua?
Yeah, I think it's been very comforting. For some reason, I seem to always connect with my English teachers or professors in some way or another, and it's like I'm a bit like nervous or insecure when it comes to English because I've always grown up in a way in like with the mindset that I have to be good at English in order to succeed. Like that's just the way I was sort of raised because I was raised in Peru, so English was, English is America, and America is success, in in that lens. So meeting Michelle, it's been a crazy ride, and organizing this conference too. I've been able to like learn about her more, but overall, the way she presents language is that she's sort of made it her own. Like it's not something that you sort of put on a mask and you go to work. Like you can tell that it's something that she's literally passionate about, and she not only does she like teach it, but she also lives it. So yeah.
Anyone else, anything to add?
Yeah, can I add on? Can you guys hear
Yeah,
me?
go ahead, Cecilia.
Sorry, I've been having horrible Wi-Fi issues. But to add on to what Joshua said, I'm in Miss Gonzalez's class too, and she has reintroduced English to me in a very interesting way, in a very good way, positive way. Not like interesting in a bad way, but in a positive way where I don't feel like I have to write. Well, of course, we do follow MLA format, but in the setting where like standardized English, it's not reinforced. And like, I don't have to constantly hear the professor tell me, oh, like Cecilia, like, this is a better way of saying it. I can say it in like Spanish. I can be like, oh, y esto que, and I can explain it in my way where I feel it's more comfortable and I'm getting my point across because I feel like some words in Spanish are make better sense to explain what I'm trying to say in the essay rather than English. So I love how Miss G or Miss Gonzalez performs and allowed me to use not just English but Spanish, so Spanglish in my essays, and I can't wait to learn more, honestly.
You know what you all are saying is reminding me, like, when you're able to write and express yourselves in ways that are like, you know, reflective of you, you know, you get to share your messages, your research, you know, with folks who talk like you, look like you. It doesn't restrict your messages, your research, the things that you have to say to this university or to this campus. It actually goes out into the world, into the community, you know what I'm saying? And thereby serves the community. You know what I mean? And in that way, that's just another way that is non-prohibited, non-restricted, you know? So yeah, thank y'all for that. Let's see here. So Joshua and Cecilia, I'm gonna throw this question to you all. Can you tell us about your confidence in writing for school before and after learning about linguistic justice in your courses? Joshua, would you start?
Learning about linguistic justice has sort of made me confident in writing a bit more. My views on linguistic justice is it was completely new to me when I came to college. I'm a first generation student, so this whole system and navigating through it has been new. But when I came into English, I was like, okay, I had gone to through this training of like AP classes. So I had already I've learned like a structure when it comes to writing, right? Like your introduction, you talk about the book, whatever, and you use keywords like the author like interprets, presents, analyzes, emphasizes, stuff like words, like keywords that you have to hit in order to present your thesis. But when it comes to linguistic justice, I've learned to just sort of put my ideas on paper and then translate it into English, even if it's like Spanish or just like literally just like things that I know what they mean, like just words. So because sometimes even I struggle with spelling, like doing this whole conference organization, I'm like, oh, I rely on, you know, sometimes the computer to do so much that I'm like, oh, I just been spelling things on like my own way. But overall, it's improved, and it's opened up a door of possibilities when it comes to writing. I'm still learning again, like this is all new, but I'm not like rejecting, I'm actually embracing it because it just allows for not just me, but writers to fully express themselves without being restricted. It's not about like fitting into someone else's box, but building your own box and sort of like decorating it outside. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's the way I sort of think of it.
Yeah, I can visualize that process. Yeah. Cecilia, how about you? What you know, your rate your
Yeah, my confidence definitely rocketed when I was introduced to linguistic justice. So I had AP courses during my high school years, and it was very standardized English. And I felt like I think I felt more of imposter syndrome in the classrooms because I felt like I couldn't express myself, but the teacher did want me to express myself in the class. And I was just like, well, I'm doing what you're telling me to do. I just feel like I can't meet that goal that you're telling me to do. Like there's something missing. So when I came to college and this new course was given to me about logistic justice, I was like, okay, this is what was missing from my writing. Like if you introduced me to this in high school, then I would have been, you know, so comfortable with it. And then learning about it, it took me some time, and I'm still struggling with it a little bit. I feel more like I'm still set on my old routine, so I'm still kind of learning on how to incorporate that into my thesis and incorporate that into my introduction, but more overall, I feel like my explanations and like my body paragraphs are definitely, you can see a fluid of linguistic justice, but I would say definitely it has brought a lot of confidence to my English, because before it was just more of like, I felt like I didn't have the resources. I don't know if that's the right word or that's the right phrase I could say, but I felt very stuck. I felt very contained. And like I said, I felt like I had imposter syndrome because I just, well, it would like I didn't feel like I was ahead with the other students, because he told me like, you're just not sounding like yourself in your writing. So this has definitely brought some excitement and
Mm,
influence.
awesome. Not only confidence, but excitement. I just want to point out, like, I'm seeing a lot of the educators in the room chatting, right? And, we're all learning from y'all right now. I just want to point that out. And we're all learning together too. You know what I'm saying? But you all are, guiding us, with this here. So I just want to, give y'all that and give you all that affirmation. Before we move on, Madison, I saw you nodding. I saw the comment in the chat. You agreed with something that Joshua said. Do you want to elaborate?
I literally, he said something. He said something that I completely agree with. It was, writing in your own words, and then having to edit and tweak it and make it into like standard English, and make it into like, instead of just, presenting what you wrote, like, I agree with that. Like, I definitely do that in a lot of my writing first, and then tweak it and edit it. And it's like, why do we have to do that? Like, what, why can't we just present how we feel? Like, writing is about feeling. That's one thing that I've learned. So it's like what we feel in that moment and what we, have, like, that should be able to be shared and expressed to our professors, faculty, that's what I was agreeing on.
Cool. Thank you for adding that. Before we move on to the next question, I just want to, make sure Oswaldo or KB, you don't have to, but if you'd like to add anything, go ahead and unmute. Right.
I can definitely add something to that. I feel for me, like just my experience and like confidence in writing, like I think in like my younger like kind of like educational journey, like especially in middle school and high school, I was very closed off and didn't want to represent myself just because of the way that society treats queer people, especially because a lot of times in my academic papers or just narratives, I need to let people know that, hey, this queer uh is part of my identity and you won't take that away from me. And I felt like in middle school and high school, I couldn't do that. It felt like I was being shunned from the world, and people were like, no, we don't care about that, we don't care about you, we just want you out of here. And I didn't appreciate that for a lot of middle school and high school. Like I really wanted to write about these issues that were happening, whether it was my issue or whether it was something that I had read on the news or I saw on social media. But now in college, like they want that, they want to hear about you, they want to know who you are on an individual level. And a lot of professors will comment on that. All of my English professors have comment on my papers and saying like, hey, I would like to talk to you after class about this, or I have questions, like, can you answer these questions? And I was more than happy to do that because it felt like these people actually cared about us and wanted to hear our voice. And I didn't, it really helped to get me out of that box. Like I finally was emerging. Like I was a bird that can now fly over the ocean for like 1,000 miles and nothing could stop me. Like I felt like I was on top of the world. And hopefully moving forward in a university level, like I'll still be able to carry that and like introduce maybe professors who are not used to that style of writing, like get them to start appreciating it and maybe encouraging their students to do that.
Beautiful. Well said.
Just to verify, the question is like, do you feel confident in writing in your style currently, right?
It's like rate your confidence before and after learning about linguistic justice and being encouraged to like bring all of your language resources into academic writing.
Oh, okay. Well, after learning about like linguistic justice and being able to write about like your authentic self, or not write about, write in your authentic voice, I feel more confident, but I know that not all professors will give you that safe space. And so that's unfortunate. And like all my life before being in your classroom, like I felt robotic because that was like standardized English is what has always been expected of me. And so, like, when I was in your class, I really felt so happy because I was able to be my true self and speak my truth. But like I said, not all professors are open to that, even at the college level. And I would like to see more professors be as open as you, but I can't control that aspect of education. But if other professors are open to it, of course, I would definitely be down for that. I would love to see that happen. And I would be super juiced for that. I would be so enthusiastic. And I would love to continue to write in my voice and in my style. So,
Yeah, that's one of the questions, that we wrestle with, in this like community. It's us, and then, what sometimes we're like, well, what about the next class that, a student needs to take, and so it is, we're I don't know. There's a lot of answers to that question. But this movement and this awareness and understanding where standardized English comes from and how that's kind of rooted in one way, one rigid way. I think more and more people are getting that lesson. Y'all are going into the working world, sometime soon. Y'all get an opportunity to, go into those spaces too. And, when you hear somebody, slandering somebody else's English, y'all get to correct the record. Like, no, there's this thing called, linguistic bias, or there's this thing called linguistic injustice. And let me educate you on that. So,
yeah, because the problem is that they are okay with people from another country being able to speak another language or a dialect from their country, but they're not down with people from America speaking either like their languages and their dialects or like speaking colloquially in general. They're just like, oh, that's hella ratchet or whatever. Like, this can't be written on these documents that we have to submit. And I'm just like, what the hell is the difference, right? What the fuck? Like, it goes back to the whole thing about why can't we say what's up when it has the same denotation as hi or hello? Like, that's hella biased and that's hella disrespectful to the community. So I just don't get that. It's like, oh, if I say like hello in a different language, you're like, oh, wow, you could speak a different language. But if you say something from like a state, but from like SoCal or from the Bay Area or something, it's not acceptable. Like, you have to, and like you taught us the history of standardized English. And so we know the root of that. But it's like, I understand, but I can't comprehend, because to me, knowing that I'm a logical person and a rational person, I can't comprehend it because it's not logical, it's not rational, and it's stupid as fuck. So I don't get that shit. I really don't. So I'm sorry, bye-bye.
Well, this kind of leads into my next question. Have your views about, the things that we taught you evolved or changed over time, right? It's, yeah, go ahead, Cecilia.
Sorry, but like I thought it was just an English problem. I thought it was an English classroom problem, but I think more like just like KB said, sorry if I pronounced it wrong, but it's KB said, it's a society problem as well. So it's definitely changed my mind into like how English is. It's not just a classroom or educational problem, it's a society problem as well, that it just brings down an individual. Like if I say something in Spanish and then I code mesh into English, I look down upon. I feel down upon because society is like, no, you can't do that. Like you're dumb. You can't do that. You can't be code meshing. Like that's stupid. So it definitely has brought my attention that it's not just an English problem, it's a classroom problem. Sorry. It's a or educational problem. It's a society problem. And yeah, I don't know if I answered that question properly, but I wanted to add on to KB said, because I've learned from my mom experience. My mom immigrated from Mexico, and she learned English here, and Spanish was her main language, and she was looked down upon because she spoke a broken English, and she's code mesh in between, and she was looked down and stupid, and she was called all these names. But for me, it's like it's a beautiful thing. Like it's a beautiful thing for someone to bring their culture, like their language is representing their culture. So why shouldn't they be able to speak both languages? Why shouldn't they be able to code mesh? And linguistic justice, it's just like I said, it's not a problem within the classrooms. It's not a problem within the education. It's a problem within our society as a whole that we need to look and be like, hey, like it's okay for you to speak Spanish in a country that's diverse. Like our country is diverse. It's full of everyone. So why can't we all code mesh? Why can't we all do this? You know? Sorry if I didn't even answer your question. I went on a whole girl, but
You did. You gave us the historical context, and I think that it's reminding me of something that English teacher said a long time ago. Something like a country that's proud of its heritage and proud of its diversity, you know what I mean, would allow us to, allow more Englishes and other dialects into the classroom. So yeah, no, you hit that 110. Joshua, anything to add? How have your views about linguistic justice changed or evolved over time?
Sort of what Cecilia mentioned. I grew up in Peru, so and I've seen that like the cultural differences when it comes to language, both here and in the States. When I moved back to the States, it was a lot about Spanglish, that you're not supposed to like mix Spanish with English because people are not going to understand you. And I didn't like agree with it. I was just like, okay, because it's what you sort of when you're young, you sort of just do what people tell you to do, unless you're like a rebel. Like, it's not a bad thing. The resistance, like I'm learning that right now. I've always been like, you follow the line and you stick to the line, but I'm sort of like breaking away. But when it comes to like linguistic justice, it's definitely it's grown. But it's not just an issue that's like in the classrooms, or like it's not an issue, but it's like something that we're challenging, we're pushing the boundaries, because it can be seen anywhere. It can be seen in the professional field. It can be seen, if you go out to the store, there's discrimination when you use another language that's outside of English, just because it's America. And I'm like, I'm not the biggest fan, because it's very racist. It's like America holds you sort of to a standard that has to be what is American and what's English. And I think it's just that relationship that is English with America, and like the idea that society has, like I mentioned earlier, America and success. I didn't write an essay about it. I don't know. I think I saw a comment on it, but I've talked about it a bit throughout the semester in my English class. But it's not just it's not just a classroom thing. That it's cool. It's really cool that it's starting in here, like in the educational field, and it's going to expand. It's not like the end of it, but it's something that has to be sort of everywhere and acknowledged. I don't know if that answered.
I mean, both you and Cecilia are expressing, it goes beyond academia, right? And that's Dr. Vey. You rose Dr. Vey before KB, right? Dr. Vey talked about it's really attitudes that we're talking about here, right? People's having bad attitudes towards an English that they don't deem as appropriate or respectable for a certain place, right? And where does that attitude come from, and how can we change that attitude? You know, Oswaldo, anything to add?
Oh, I definitely love to add. You don't have to ask me twice. But regarding that, like my view has definitely changed because as Joshua mentioned, like unfortunately I fell into that line of following the rules because if I didn't follow the rules, I felt like a failure. And I'm kind of unlearning that I don't have to listen to the rules. I can break away from them. But you know, my view on linguistics is I'm learning right now as well because I'm an English tutor at my school. And so I'm meeting a variety of people, people who are better than me at English, people who are at the same level as me, and people who are, I don't want to label them as below, but like, you know, who need the extra support. And I get a lot of students who need extra support, and they always tell me when I'm helping them, they're all like, my English isn't good. Like it sucks, it's horrendous. And I'm just like, whoa, who taught you? Who taught you to say that about yourself? Like you are not horrendous. You're just not at the level that you want to be. Like everyone has to take those baby steps to get to where they are. And I always tell them, like, they're always like, you're so good at English, you're so proficient. I'm just like, I appreciate the thought, but I'm not. Like, unfortunately, I would consider myself at the lower levels of English. And they're always like, no, you're so good though. I'm just like, no, like if you saw me in kindergarten trying to communicate with the other kids, like I don't know what I was doing, but I was saying words that didn't even make sense. And it was just like, you know, like I was at your point at one level, and I understand why they feel so hindered, and I understand why they don't feel confident. And I'm just like, no, like it's okay. It's okay to not be good at English. I was not good at English. I don't consider myself as good at English, which is kind of ironic because I'm an English tutor. But you know, I wish my English was better. But you know, I think what we need to do is start kind of like teaching our students, teaching, you know, our peers that it's okay to not be good at something. You don't have to be a pro because in America we push this idea that we have to be excellent from the get-go. And that's just an unrealistic standard that we live up to. And it's okay to still have your training wheels on even at you're 40 years old. Like I'm 19. I don't know how to ride a bike. I still need the training wheels. Am I ashamed of that? Absolutely not. I always tell everyone I can't ride a bike. I need my training wheels. And I feel like if people just were more comfortable with, you know, showing that they still need training wheels, we'd be centuries ahead of like, you know, encouraging people. But unfortunately, we still live in a society where if you don't speak perfect English or if you're no good English, then you're just never going to improve. You're shunned from society, and shunning is the last thing we want to be doing. And people need a lot of support, and I see that a lot with the students that I work with. I like to consider them my students because a lot of them do come back consistently, and they're always thanking me. They're like, "Thank you, you helped me so much with my paper. You thank me so much. You helped me so much with this thing that I struggle with." And I'm just like, "You're welcome. Like that's what I'm here for. Like anything that you need, come to me. We'll work through it together. We'll struggle together. We'll fly together. Like it's all about that nurturing and having that safe community or having that safe someone for you to confide in and, you know, trust with linguistics and language."
You know, somebody in the chat, I think it's Jeff John Phillips, said, you know, what even is good English, right? Like, and you know, that you know, sometimes we adopt these attitudes about what good English is and beliefs about what good English is. And you know, they give us beliefs about ourselves, like we internalize those messages. It sounds like your students that come and see you as well to internalize those messages that they're not good at English. But like what are they defining as good English? You know, it's you know, it's been time that we ask that question and unpack that further. All right, y'all. So we're getting ready to close out in a few minutes, but I wanted to ask about the cultural appropriation question, right? I wonder if like how you all feel about, you know, using words and sharing words that we normally use within, our communities, if that, if that, worries you at all, bothers you at all, does it lead to inauthentic use in other communities? Sometimes people adopt, African American English, right, for financial gain. We see that on social media. A lot of these corporations are, their social media uses Black English to, gain followers and ultimately for financial gain. Any thoughts on the use of, just cultural appropriation when it comes to codes and whatnot? Cecilia, any thoughts?
Yeah, most definitely. I can see this mostly in social media right now. I feel like a lot of people are, I love that people embrace the English, don't get me wrong. I love that. But there's a lot of people that just, I feel like, abuse that, and they use that for, like you said, financial gain, or like social media or followers, when in reality it's like, you're not, I'm not saying there's a specific proper way to use it, but you could tell when someone's just doing it for different reasons. Like they're not using it to represent their culture. They're not when in reality it's like you're just abusing that instead. Like, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense at all.
It makes sense. It makes sense. Other thoughts on yeah, go ahead, Madison.
Yes, it's like a big thing with cultural appropriation, not just in our speech, but hair, style, it's a lot. It hurts because it's things that we've been pushed down about and judged about. But when other people do it, it's, oh, look at this new trend. Oh, soft girl era. I don't know what they call it. It's something, the edges, they call it something. I'm just like, you mean swooping your edges? Like, I don't know. It's crazy to me. So it definitely is disheartening. And it's like, I do give a little side eye when I see her peep those vibes, because I'm just like, seriously, girl, like, that's not how you speak. Be authentic, be you. Like, for example, my the essay that I wrote with the glossary, that wasn't a guide on how to speak AAVE. That was just for you to understand and read the essay, just in case you didn't know how I was saying gone, or the T, or whatever that was on there, but it's it's disheartening because it's not appreciated, it's stolen, and then it's the credit is getting taken, and it's just, it's not authentic. It's not you. Just be you. I feel like with anything, with any culture, just be you. It's okay to learn. I love to learn new things. I love to travel. I love to go learn new cultures. That doesn't mean that I have to, not be authentic and not be me and not represent my culture. So that's the issue that I have with that.
Yeah, I mean, that part, all of it, right? But standing out to me was, it was something that for so many years we've been shunned, for so many years. It's been a block and a barricade to advancement. Yeah, cool. All right, well, I saw there's a couple questions in the chat that I want to get into. So I guess we can maybe start there. I did see a question earlier about how y'all feel about, using AI and, with the lens of linguistic justice. Any thoughts on that? Have y'all tried that? Go ahead, Oswaldo.
Yeah, so again, talking about my experience as a tutor, I definitely have students who come in who use AI, and I wouldn't say it frustrates me. Like, I have mixed feelings about AI. Like, yes, I do think it can be very helpful in gaining ideas. And like, if you're stuck and you're just like, I don't know what the hell to do, yes, it can be very useful for that. But when people try to brand the AI writing as their own, it's like, girl, really, really, you did not use fluctuating. Like, really? Like, I don't even use that in my own vocabulary. And I'm an English tutor, and like, I love English, but I'm not using fluctuating in my vocabulary. Like, just be yourself. And it's definitely frustrating for people to try to normalize AI, especially with essay writing. Like, the whole point of an essay writing is that I want to hear your voice and your opinions. And it's when students come in I don't try to bash them about using AI, but I'm just like, hey, like, can you explain to me what this word means, or what did you mean by that? And if the student cannot answer it, then I'm just like, you shouldn't put that in your writing, because you yourself don't know what you're talking about. So why would you include that? And I just encourage students. I'm just like, just be yourself. Like, I know it must be tiring to just hear be yourself, but truly just be yourself, love the way that you write. If you have to, and like a lot of students will complain, they're like, oh, but I write dumb, or I don't write in a good way. That doesn't matter. I have a plethora of essays and my notes app where I rant about boy stuff, but that's not important. But I use this. I show them my own writing. I'm just like, look, I'm an English tutor. I got A's in all of the English courses that I've taken, and it's just like, you see, I didn't write professional all the way. Like, I was ranting about music and my favorite songs, and using queer language and using bad language and using slurs that I could reclaim. By the way, don't worry, don't no cancel culture here, but obviously words that I could reclaim to make a point, to make an emphasis, and you can do that too. Just make sure to run it by your professor, because obviously I'm not your professor. I'm just giving you suggestions, but run it by your professors, ask them. And students are so afraid to ask, and you just need to ask, professor, can I write like this? And at least here in Glendale Community College, a lot of the professors will be like, yes, if it is helpful for your essay and it's gonna make an impact, definitely do it. And I'm sure plenty of English professors will understand that, and I'm sure they will actually encourage it. So I feel like we just need to kind of teach students that yes, you can use AI, just make sure to use it correctly, and make sure to still keep it about yourself.
Cool. Cecilia, I saw your hand, and then Joshua.
Yeah, definitely what Oswaldo was saying. I feel like a lot of students use AI because they're not comfortable enough to be authentic. I think a lot of people stun them out to be like, they can't express themselves properly because what they were trying to be and what they're trying to show, like who they're trying to show or who they're trying to be, is not accepted by a lot of English professors. So they go to AI as the solution, and in reality, that's not what we want. We want to hear their voices. We want them to embrace themselves, and I think AI is the easy way out. And I get it. I understand as a student, you just sometimes want to get a paper done. I completely understand. I'm a student, but in reality, the reality of writing a paper is to show yourself. So why would you use AI if you're just going to take away that authenticity, like Oswaldo said?
Yeah. Joshua.
Building on to Oswaldo and what Cecilia said, sort of, and I totally get what Cecilia said on the sometimes you just want to get a paper done, like you're just tired, but I think it takes away like the point of writing, or the point of speaking is to express yourself. So if you're using like an AI writing model or any sort of AI, you're just taking away like what's yours, like your own voice, your own ideas, your own expression. But there's if you when it comes to AI, it's still something new. It's still something that's it's still developing in the academic field, but it can definitely be like a good way to sort of start off your ideas or like your research going on. But I wouldn't use it necessarily to just write everything. Most of the time, I struggle with the writing when it comes to like analyzing stuff. So, you know, even though there's like that option, I've I've done this a lot of times. I write about why I don't understand the book. That's something that I've encountered, because something that I've seen a lot amongst my peers is that a lot of times we don't seem to understand, and we just rely on something else to put into writing. Like, we don't understand a book, we don't understand an article, whatever. So we rely on something else or someone else to get our ideas from. But that's not our voices. That's not what we think. So even if you don't understand it, I feel like it's okay to like express why not. Like, you're writing, you're expressing what you got out of something. But overall, like, AI just sort of, it takes away your voice.
I've always thought that, like, even if you write a paper about what you don't understand, that's still a response, right? What is it that you don't understand, and why? That's still a response to a paper. So, and yeah, I think that could be something interesting to think about. Well, y'all, I want to thank you all for taking time out of your very busy schedules and spring break or almost spring break to, come and give us the word, the palabra, the knowledge that you did today. Thank you for teaching us, for working with us, and yeah, we appreciate your thoughts, your insights, and your perspectives. Thank you so much. And y'all have a beautiful, wonderful afternoon. Happy spring break. Thank you all for the opportunity.
Thanks, Kisha. Glad to help.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I just wanted to throw in one more thank you to our students. I know y'all are getting off, but you all are amazing. Again, you're the center of this conference. You're why we do this work. And you all were just as amazing as the students were last year. And I just really appreciate your presence, your honesty, your authenticity. I felt like I could feel all of you right here in the room with us. And that was my favorite part. I learned so much from you, like Kisha said. So I wanted to reiterate that before Edgar has some words too.
Yes, I would also like to thank Kisha for the amazing questions, for La Vida, and all the students for like this kind of no holds bar kind of discussion and very open and honest, and for the courage they had to kind of have this discussion with all these viewers. So with that in mind, we're gonna take a 15-minute break, and we'll see you all back at 2:45.
Color
Okay, everybody, thank you so much for sticking around for some closing remarks. We wanted to start off with thanking all of our amazing presenters, which includes, of course, our keynote, Sun, at the beginning, who really started us off with, making us question how we feel about ourselves and question our own learning journeys and the type of healing and things that we've had to endure, and then how we can take those lessons and apply them to our students and even our colleagues, right? Those around us. And then we had some amazing presentations on all different kinds of topics. I know we're all in different rooms, so I can't synthesize that too much. But I can say that everything that I noticed from the presentations that I got to be a part of, as well as from our amazing student panelists, was again this underlying thread that Sun started us off with in terms of internalized linguicism. I had not heard that word until I met Sun. And then this continued resisting and questioning of what is standardizing, what are these rules, using this lens of power structures and who has them, who has created these rules. And also just that continued reminder that we create language. I think the thing that's going to stick with me is Sun ending his keynote by coming back to me and being like, no, remember what I said. Dictionaries do not create words for people. People create words for dictionaries. And then I went and I bought the t-shirt during the break. Thank you, Sun. And I'm going to keep looking at dictionaries with that lens and looking at language and how I teach with that lens. And I hope that you all can take that with you as well, and whatever else you got out of all the different approaches and topics today, the presentations. I also want to make sure that I thank you all for being here. We understand how Zoom conferences can be distracting, right? We all can multitask a little bit more than in person. Sometimes it's hard to engage. And so we loved hearing from you all in the chat throughout the day. We are going to return to these chats and look back at them. We loved engaging with you in the breakout sessions. I think the presentations that I was in did a wonderful job at keeping the audience engaged and having those conversations. So really, muchas gracias to you all. Yeah, that was amazing for us. And then before I pass it off to Julie, two more, what I like to call the practical shit of the day. One very important is please keep in mind that if you need some professional development credit for being here today, that we are working with the VRC. And on our FAQ page on our website, we clarify that they have communicated it can take till the end of April. So if you don't hear anything by then, it's not reflected on your transcript, or you don't get something from us in an email, please reach out after the end of April, and we'll be happy to follow up with you. We'll also do our best to communicate through as we can, right? This is very, as we like to say, DIY. So we're doing a lot of things without a lot of those automatic systems in place that are really helpful, but we're doing it, doing the work because we love it. And then the final practical shit is to please complete the conference evaluation form. Both the evaluation form and our FAQ are in our chat by Javier. Thank you, Javier. And we really appreciate your feedback. We used feedback from last year to help create the session this year, and we want to continue doing that in the years to come. And then I realized, saying that, I didn't thank Javier. Javier has been behind the scenes all day long, messaging us, keeping us informed. As we've been doing this, like, technology is such a stressor. Any of you who use technology in your classrooms or taught on Zoom, I think you know exactly what we're talking about, and the amount of stress that we didn't have today because of Javier is just like, oh, so precious. So thank you, Javier. And then now I will go ahead and pass it off to Julie. And thank you, Julie and Michelle. My bad. I love
Nothing, it's me.
working with you both, and you all are just, you inspire me every day, and you're very reassuring, and just you help keep me going with this work. And even when we're so exhausted and we're messaging each other at 10 at night to figure stuff out, I couldn't do it without your energy. So thank you for bringing that.
Thank you. Sorry, I misheard it first. Well, same back to you, Heather. All the your humor, I don't think Heather mentioned this, but Heather likes to call everyone that works with us tributes. And your dedication and your thoughtfulness have really not only kept me going, but have expanded the way I think about how we do this practice. So thank you. For everyone who came today, I just want to say, if this is your first time at this conference, please know it's always like this because of the energy you bring. And also, as Heather said, I'm just going to re-thank some of the people that you think are extraordinary presenters. The presentations I went to today, I'm so excited we're recording this time. So I'm going to watch all of them, and our keynote, our student panel, our ASL interpreters, especially Kim, who's interpreting now, and has really so clearly and powerfully advocated for and taught us about deaf inclusion in this conference that we hope to expand more in the future. We appreciate you, Kim, and all the interpreters that interpreted today, the captioners, and as Heather already said, the professional Zoom tech host, Javier Llerena, who was really, I don't know what you think, Javier, but this is a little bit of a different kind of conference, and it's very dynamic, and we would make a lot of last minute changes, and you have been so patient with us. Thank you. All y'all for bringing your wisdom today to the chat, your courage, your strategies, your questions. This is really a moment of academic love. And to go back again to what Michelle says, this is a movement, and we can change things. We can and we are changing things in our own classes and also at our institutions. As we say in movements, right? When we fight, we win. So back to Michelle to take us home. Thank you.
So we definitely are not keeping you till 4:30, just like, when you're in class and you're like, is this going to go until 4:30? I wanted to give you that heads up. We're not going to just ramble on but there are a few more things that we want to say that are important. One, I do want to say that this conference was funded by both Las Positas College and Glendale Community College, who helped us secure funding for all the variety of things that you need to put on a conference. And this was truly a DIY effort, even though we have institutions behind us helping us with funding and a student support system where we can hire students through the campus. We didn't have administrative assistants or anything like that. We had to figure all of this out on our own, and we've done it for 3 years in a row, and we're so happy to be here and still going. This really is, linguistic justice is a movement. What we have created here is a community of teachers who are really, really committed to belonging in education, not fake belonging, not fake equity, not fake diversity, but real, true belonging. I just think it's really, really important that we keep up this energy throughout the year, keep deepening our practices, communicating with one another. I'm sure you met people in sessions today. Reach out, share resources. We're going to be getting all of our information out from today, as all the videos, assuming everything was recorded, because sometimes things happen, all the videos and the slide decks and everything. We're going to try to pull resources that were put in the chat and put them all in one document and get that all up on our website. That will be a living document or historical archive of this conference. So we plan on doing this again next year. So we want you to be here, whether it's in the room or proposing a session, giving a session, supporting a session. You can team up with people. or you can do your own session. You can bring students. We always love when folks bring students and make students a part of their own actual presentation. So I just want to reiterate something I said in my session today, and that is that through linguistic justice, it's very easy to see that standard English, the standard language model, makes it so that only a few students can be geniuses. With linguistic justice, all of our students can be geniuses. And I know that there are a lot of people who don't want everyone to be special. But that's not what we're about. So let's just keep this energy rolling all through the year, and let's stay in communication. We love that you're here and that you shared this long day with us, and we're just so appreciative. And special shout out to all the board, the committee, I don't don't even know what we call it. We were like, are we organizers?
Tributes.
Board, tributes, Karen, Edgar, Keelan, Heather, Julie, the Julies. And we've had other people, who've come in and helped us and supported us, and Josh, who's here in the room with us again. Thanks to the student panel and all the presenters one more time. So thank you everybody for being here. And if you're going on spring break, have a beautiful week. Otherwise, have a lovely weekend, and really, rest is resistance. Don't forget that.